Hi friends, this is My Persistence Project and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. So excited to have you. Please like and subscribe, I guess is the term. But if you've been around a while, hello to you too. This is week 16 of training for Oceanside. We are officially under 4 weeks out. How exciting and nerve-wracking. Some highlights of this week are that I swam in the ocean for the first time. I swam in the ocean for the first time actually in San Francisco. It was wild because I had views of like Alcatraz and views of the Golden Gate and got to get in the water and experiment for the first time. So I did 2 swims and I'm so excited to tell you about this training block. I learned a ton, so let's talk about it. Okay, week 16 summary. I did those two open water swims in the San Francisco Bay. I did day 1, 30 minutes, about 1,000 yards. Today, 40 minutes, day 2, 1,350 yards. I did do both with fins. I'm more motivated with fins and it just like is a little bit easier, and so it kind of takes the edge off. We are exactly 4 weeks out from Oceanside and 34 weeks out from Portugal, so we are getting dang close. I definitely cooked myself at the beginning of the week. I did my long brick last Sunday and then went straight into a big week of training. So what it looked like was 2 hours of swimming in total, about 2 miles, 3.5 hours of cycling for a total of 51 miles, running 3.75 hours, 16 miles, and 2 strength sessions, plus the dog walks, of course, for a total of about 12 hours of training and 74 miles complete. Super solid workout this week. Like I said, it felt pretty buried earlier this week because doing that long brick, going Monday straight into speed work and time on the bike, Tuesday doing bike intervals, long bike, brick, like day after day after day. It just got to be a lot, and so I felt a little buried. So it was nice to have an easier weekend with just a couple ocean swims. But yeah, let's talk about the ocean swims. I am so nervous going into Oceanside for the ocean swim. It's gonna be very scary. So I'm really nervous, or I was, hint, hint, really nervous about how cold it was gonna be. And then like just open water in the ocean in general. And then I've really struggled to get like my mind right in the open water in general. I'm always thinking, worried about wildlife, like freaking out, can't focus, all the things. But I truly, truly needed the practice before Oceanside. So let's get into what I learned. Biggest learning, it's not as cold as I thought it would be. Getting in was obviously a little chilly, but honestly, it wasn't like the take your breath away cold. It was chilly. And then getting in was fine. My feet and hands were fine. I get Raynaud's, and so I was a little worried about that. Totally fine. The one place that I like noticed that it was a little tough was when I put my head in the water the first few times. So like this part was exposed and I'd get like brain freeze. And so that was good to know. And so I just would do like 10 strokes at a time, reset, and then after like a few of those, I got it all right. So that was nice. Day 1, I did an afternoon swim. It was about 62 degrees outside, and like literally afterwards standing outside, all good. This morning I also went out and it was about 55 degrees, colder in the morning, more close to what Oceanside will be, so I figured it was a good opportunity. I think the water temperature was around 60 degrees, and so definitely cool, but it was really good conditions. I was totally fine by the time I got out, so I'm not worried about Oceanside. I think it'll be just fine. I'm still a little nervous about biking, but I know that like I'll come out of the water warm, so I think everything will be good, which was a huge, huge win. Let's talk about a little bit more about like ocean conditions. So day one, it was a little choppier because it was in the afternoon, the wind had kicked up, and so when I was breathing to my right on the way back, I just kept getting splashed in the face, which obviously is not ideal, especially with like salt water. And so like I definitely need to work long term on my bilateral breathing, so being able to like breathe to both sides. I just suck so much on my left, and so that's definitely something I'll work on. Day two, it was a lot calmer, but it was like a huge current. And so one way, it was like so fast. And then the other way, it took forever to like overcome the current. And so that's just one thing that I like am cognizant of, and I'll like look at when I get to Oceanside of like what most likely that's going to look like. But it was just really good to know what it feels like. What I learned brain freeze and goggles edition is, like I mentioned, like putting my face in the water was brain freezy, and so like working into it helped a lot. I also had my goggles fog up a lot, which I thought was a little weird considering they were brand new, but I think it was just like the difference between like water temperature and outside temperature. Like my body's hot and then the water is cold, and so I need to like test out the like anti-fog spray before Oceanside. Okay, moving on. Saltwater and wetsuit edition. Saltwater is super weird. I tend to swim with my mouth a little bit open. Can't do that with saltwater. The first day I definitely felt like I might get sick a couple times, and so like continuing to like really focus on not getting water in my mouth or up my nose, like that's a lot. It's just like like chlorine in your nose is not super pleasant experience. Saltwater in your nose, even less of a fun experience. So definitely need to focus on not getting as much water in my mouth. My wetsuit did feel good. I haven't used it since last year, and so getting into my wetsuit again was great. The first time I put it on, it was like super tight, and I was like, oh no, and it took forever. This morning, tell you too, it was fine. So just like working back into it is super great. I also did notice a huge difference with my buoyancy with the wetsuit and the salt water. So like keep that in mind if you are swimming in not salt water, that the buoyancy helps so much. Okay, what I learned, backstroke and pacing edition. So some people are doing backstroke, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try it, and it was honestly great. I will probably end up doing that in the race if I need a little reprieve, especially early on. Like, all right, just like take a few strokes, focus, move. And then I did deal with some disappointment because my times were fairly slow, but I really tried to reframe it that like my goal of the whole time was just to spend time in the water. I really didn't know if I was going to do like 2 minutes and like freak out and just be done. So I felt like it was a win no matter what, but I was like, oh dang, I should be faster, all the things, but like my watch was also not very accurate in the open water. So we are just rolling with it and it'll be fine. Day two was also not super fun, but it was progress. So that's really all that I count. Okay, I think this is the last section. Back pain and sighting, what I learned edition. I needed to practice sighting a lot. I can't do more than a few strokes without sighting, or else I'm pretty far off track, which is really good to know. But also, if I have my head out of the water up front a lot, I tend to get some back pain because of the curve of my back when my head's out of the water and then my legs are up. So that's just something I'll have to pay attention to. I don't want to like hurt my back before I get on the bike. So that's really important to me. What I learned, earplug and gratitude edition. I definitely felt a little dizzy coming out of the water, which is like to be expected, but I hear earplugs help, and so I will practice that, and I will probably do that on training on race day, because I don't want to come out of the water feeling a little loopy and then get on the bike. But yeah, I think the biggest win of the week was really like being in the ocean for the first time and like not freaking out and like actually holding gratitude. So like I was so amazed. I was like, oh my God, the Golden Gate's there, Alcatraz is there. Like, how lucky am I? And that was a really good place to be. That's how I felt. Okay, what this means for me at Oceanside is I'm not scared of the cold anymore, which is a great place to be. I know that I can handle the salt water. I know I can sight. My wetsuit still works. My goggles do fog, but I can do something about that. I do need to wear earplugs. I need to watch out and not hurt my back too bad when I'm sighting. I feel so much more prepared though than I did. We are less than 4 weeks out from Oceanside now, and I know what to expect, which is really exciting. Such a huge win. Some tips and fun things. If you're ever in San Francisco, the Aquatic Cove Park, you can swim in. There's people all the time there. I went 2 days in a row. There's a bunch of people there. Obviously, don't swim alone, all the things. I swam alone. But like there were so many people there. I felt safe. Obviously, like figuring out how to like not have valuables on the beach was like the hardest part, but like I felt super safe in the water. Like no animals. I did have a duck that kept popping up on me, which was funny, but nothing weird. There's like actually like a swim club that swims there a lot. So what you can do is you can like swim around the cove, which is a lot, and no thank you. But they have like this buoy line that I think is like, if you just swim buoy to buoy, it's like probably 250 yards. It's a little longer if you do the longer course. I just swam back and forth on the buoy line. It was literally perfect. I'll put some pictures up here, but like would recommend that, especially if you're like in San Francisco looking for a place to swim. 10 out of 10 recommend. That was great. All right, this video is getting long. Let's close this up. 2 open water swims in San Francisco. Those were great. I learned so much throughout the process. I am ready for Oceanside. I'm as ready for Oceanside as I'm going to get. And 4 weeks to go to 4 weeks to go to Oceanside. 34 weeks to Portugal. This is my persistence project. Let's get it.